As well as the Secretary, the Department of Energy representation and Oak Ridge National Labs. You'll be hearing from all of our speakers here, as well as the University of Maine. What we're here today to do is to announce, and Senator Collins will be doing that, a new initiative. But to explain quickly what that is, if you look in the back, we have 3 trunks that were 3D printed, one for each of the offices and for the Secretary. And they're printed with the same materials we'll be using under this program. The materials are nanocellulose, basically the tree ground up to its nanostructure. And these materials have properties similar to metals. We're taking those and putting them in bioplastics so we can make very strong plastics that we can print almost anything with. And so this is an example. This is the tree trunk that turns into the shape of the state of Maine. So instead of a tree growing out of the state of Maine, this is the state of Maine growing out of a tree, okay, at the very end. So, and the materials we're looking at, I want to thank Senator Collins' staff and for spending a lot of time getting us over here to this day today. Senator Collins, you have tremendous staff, including Kayla McMurray and Carol Woodcock and many others. And the materials we're looking at, and somehow we got them into this building. This looks like a suspicious substance, but this is actually nanocellulose. This is a tree ground up to its nanostructure, and that's the material we're adding to plastics, bioplastics. By putting them together, we can 3D print them and make things like that. One of our goals in the future, the first year of the program, is to 3D print a boat mold. So with this in mind, it's my great honor to have Senator Collins work with us. Senator Collins has been a supporter of research and development in the state of Maine at the University of Maine for over 15 years. She's done this every year with diligence, with resolve, and that's resulted in over 2,300 students at the University of Maine who've been funded on research projects and financed to go through the university. There's been numerous spin-off companies from the lab at the University of Maine that are now employing our students who could stay in the state of Maine. It's truly a great honor to have worked and known Senator Collins for 15 years. Please help me welcome Senator Collins.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Habib, for being here today for this exciting collaboration. I've always called Habib the Energizer Bunny in the state of Maine because he has developed this composite lab that truly has been cutting edge and doing world-class research. But I realize that Energizer Bunny really isn't a high enough tech term for you. So I'm going to have to put my talented staff on this project to come up with a better description. But it's a great pleasure for me to join Senator Lamar Alexander, my colleague Senator King, and the director of the Oak Ridge Laboratory in the University of Maine in announcing this great partnership between the University of Maine and Oak Ridge National Laboratory to support large-scale additive manufacturing with bio-based thermoplastics. You've seen the great demonstration of the ground-up wood and plastics and what they can produce. I also want very much to welcome Daniel Simmons, DOE's Assistant Secretary in the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, Dr. Mohammed Khalil, the Associate Lab Director of Oak Ridge, and Dr. Jeffrey Hecker, the University of Maine Provost. Thank you all for joining us here today. Well, Oak Ridge is a global leader in additive manufacturing. The University of Maine is an expert in bio-based composites. By working together, they will strengthen environmentally responsible advanced manufacturing throughout America, as well as helping the forest products industry in the state of Maine. As a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, I've worked very closely with Chairman Alexander to secure funding for this exciting project in the fiscal year 2019 Energy and Water Bill. As the initial application of this technology to Maine's boat building industry demonstrates, the initiative's hub and spoke model will capitalize on regional manufacturing expertise to accelerate innovation throughout the United States. I'm also thrilled to learn that the world's largest 3D printer will be located at the University of Maine. How exciting that is. It will use nanocellulose bio-based thermoplastics, that's a mouthful, further bolstering this innovative collaboration. This project is an outstanding example of what we can do when our national laboratories work cooperatively with our universities to drive American innovation, create jobs, and strengthen our economy. So I just want to thank everyone who is here today. This is so exciting, and I just love this collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Collins. And Chairman Alexander, Senator Alexander, I hear so many great things from you privately, from both Senator Collins as well as Senator King. They've known you for years, worked with you for years, even with Senator King's going back to when both of you were governors and worked together, so they speak fondly of that. So we're truly honored to be able to be working with you. Please help me welcome Senator Alexander.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Using Maine forest products is a great way for 3D printing, is a great way to create new jobs in Maine, and it's an important reminder of what a powerful secret weapon our national laboratories and our universities are. I mean, the brain power there is a source of our wealth, our new jobs. This all sounds very complicated, but in application, it's pretty simple. You just take some stuff, some material, and you put it through a tube, and then a printer starts building whatever you're building. And we've watched at the Oak Ridge Laboratory, which is the leading laboratory in the country for research on additive manufacturing, 3D printing. We've watched them build a car. The Secretary of Energy drove a car that was built by 3D printing. The process is used for making tools for autos. It's used for making tools for surgeons' operations on knees, so there are no mistakes when they make the operation. They make one just for your own knee. So 3D printing is likely to revolutionize American manufacturing, and I'm delighted that the Oak Ridge National Laboratory is playing such an important role in it. And I'm especially delighted to see the fine work at the University of Maine, because I know how important forest products are to Maine and to new jobs. And I've heard from Senator Collins, who's a member of our committee and who pushed for the appropriation for this. And I've heard from Senator King, who's been equally enthusiastic for this project, of how much it means to both of them and to the citizens who put them in the United States Senate. So this is an important day. We're using Maine's forest products to create new jobs for people in Maine, and we're using the brain power at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory and the University of Maine to make that happen. That's a great model for our country and a good sign for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Alexander. I'd like to talk to you a bit about Senator King. I've known Senator King when he was Governor King in the state of Maine, and he used to say, no fish should leave Maine with its head on. This is to add value to natural resources in the state of Maine. And today, Senator King, we're going to say no tree should leave Maine with its bark on with this particular project, so we can add value to the state of Maine. Again, it's been a tremendous pleasure to work with Senator King, back to Governor King's for years. He's the one who actually put the money initially to build our lab. back at the very. So please help me welcome Senator King.
Thanks, Habib. When I made that campaign promise in 1994 about Maine, no fish should ever leave Maine with its head on, the Wall Street Journal characterized it as the most bizarre political promise in the history of the United States. But what I was talking about, of course, was value added. I want to give you two data points that lead us to today. Number one is that 5 or 6 years ago, we had a slow motion hurricane, if you will, a disaster in our forest products industry. The pulp and paper industry had been the mainstay of the Maine economy for 100 years. And we lost, I can't remember, I lost count, I think we lost 5 mills in 3 years. And it was a really downtime for our industry. At that time, Susan and I said, we can't stand by and just watch this happen. And we assembled a team called the EDAT team, Economic Development, and we brought, I think it was 7 federal agencies to Maine to look at this situation and say, what can we do? And through that work, this is really an outgrowth, a concrete product of that work, because what we thought about was, how do we make other uses of the forest products research, of the forest research resource in Maine, in addition to supporting the traditional industry, which, by the way, has come back, and there's been significant investment in the pulp and paper industry in the last couple of years, but how do we make more use of this enormous resource? And the second data point that I wanted to mention is Maine is the most forested state in the United States. So we are sitting on a gold mine of fiber. And the question is, how do we utilize it? How do we create value? How do we create jobs? And this is an entirely new use. And what this is, as everybody has pointed out, is printing, making, manufacturing, using, the term they're using is bio-based, but what that really means is cellulosic fiber base from wood, which is an entirely new use that will create new opportunities in Maine and in other parts of the country. And it also has the benefit of being less reliant on fossil fuels, which is the derivative, which is derived principally from oil. So this is a tremendous partnership, and the relationship between Oak Ridge, which is the leader in the world on additive manufacturing, and the University of Maine and the Composites Lab, which is, I believe, I would argue, one of the leaders in the world in terms of composites and the utilization of bio-based materials. This is a very powerful combination. And I think it's going to be beneficial not only to Maine and our region, but also to the entire country. So I want to thank Susan for joining in when we started back to bring the industry together, which is they're still meeting together. They're united in a way that they never have been before. And this is one very important step to the rebirth of the forest products industry in Maine, based upon the traditional legacy industries. They're not going away, and they're very important, but finding new industries to supplement and use this tremendous resource to the benefit of the people of Maine and the people of the country. So my congratulations to both labs. My sincere thanks to the Department of Energy for hanging in there with us on this, for providing the funding for what I think is going to be a very, very important project. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator King. It's a great pleasure for me to invite to the podium Assistant Secretary Simmons. I met him almost a year ago before he was confirmed, and we all know it took way too long to get him confirmed. He's a true believer in getting things done that make a difference, that reduce costs, that create businesses. No-nonsense type of person coming to DOE. It's wonderful to be able to work with him. Please help me welcome Assistant Secretary Simmons.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction. It is great to be here. It is great to be confirmed. But it is a great honor that I have to lead the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, and I think that we are doing a lot of great things. As we know, like one of the good things about the office is that there are many parts of the office. One of which is the Advanced Manufacturing Office, and manufacturing is critical for for the future. It is one of the areas of real emphasis for this administration. That manufacturing creates about 11.4% of GDP. 12.8 million Americans are employed in the manufacturing industry. Well, in manufacturing. And so what do we need to do for the future? And the future is about innovation. And this is one of the areas where we think that there's going to be a lot of innovation in the area of 3D printing, in the area of using new technologies, new sources for that 3D printing. And so I think that this is a very exciting collaboration. These senators and others have provided you could say robust funding for my office. And one of the questions that I have is, how are we doing a good job of being stewards of this money? And one of the things that really matters to me is that one of the ways that I have a lot of comfort that we are being good stewards is when I'm seeing good collaboration. In this case, using the resources and the people at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, combining that with the resources and the people at the University of Maine, cross-fertilizing ideas. I think that this is is very exciting. So I look very much I am very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of this collaboration. I had the opportunity to go to Oak Ridge next week. Later this year, hopefully in July, I will be in Maine and have the opportunity to see the good work. So thank you very much for winning this funding opportunity announcement that we put out, and I look forward to seeing your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Simmons. It's really a great pleasure and an honor to have Oak Ridge National Lab as a partner for us. And representing Oak Ridge National Lab is a person I've learned to respect over the last 2 years. Mo Khalil runs the Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Programs as Associate Director of Oak Ridge National Lab. A true intellect, a person who sees the opportunities, knows how to connect the dots. And at the same time, he works very closely. Somebody who works with him, Craig Blue right here from Oak Ridge National Lab, who's truly a one-man innovation army. I went out to see him the first time 2 years ago at Oak Ridge National Lab, and I was just so energized by all the work that Craig and Mo are doing. So please help me welcome Mo Khalil.
Good morning. It is a privilege for me to welcome our partners from the University of Maine to Oak Ridge National Lab. And we are delighted to have this opportunity to celebrate an innovative partnership and collaboration. The first ever hub and spoke model. This is a way for us to democratize manufacturing in the United States. Focus on larger scale, nanocellulosic, bio-derived material manufacturing that actually takes advantage of very complementary capabilities at the University of Maine, like the Senator mentioned, the composite lab, like the Senators mentioned, the manufacturing demonstration facility at Oak Ridge, world-leading facility. Senator, thank you for everything you do to help us get to that stage. We really appreciate it. We are grateful for the support provided by the Office of Energy Efficiency, especially the Advanced Manufacturing Program. I think it's a leading program in the U.S. pushing manufacturing to the next level, and we're hoping that program will help us dominate manufacturing in 2025. And I look forward with great confidence to advancing the development and use of bio-derived, bio-based materials that will result from this collaboration. We think this is the kind of work the manufacturing demonstration facility has been designed for, to really, move things to the next frontier. The manufacturing demonstration facility at Oak Ridge National Lab is helping the industry develop and adapt new materials and manufacturing processes with the goal to reduce the life cycle in terms of energy consumption and emission, lower production cost, lowering manufacturing cost is critical, and new products and jobs. We're going to be making boats and other things from this. And I'm certain the state of Maine will have more jobs. So the manufacturing demonstration facility is truly a gateway to Oak Ridge National Lab for additional resources, including the world's it's the fastest computer in the world, Summit, and a lot of the high-performance computing activities at Oak Ridge, data sciences, artificial intelligence, Senator, again, thank you for pushing the frontiers on computing. Also, we have exceptional tools at Oak Ridge National Lab in terms of materials, development, and characterization, including the spallation neutron source and hopefully the second target station, which will be awesome to probe, polymeric and soft materials. Oak Ridge has tremendous expertise in plant genomics and bioengineering. We have the Center for Bioenergy Innovation. I think we can manipulate the genes of plants to do much better. We are excited to have this opportunity to apply the collective resources of Oak Ridge and the University of Maine to really bring in new frontiers in manufacturing. Thank you, Senators. Thank you, Daniel. And thanks to everyone who actually contributed to building this opportunity. And together we are building a bright future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mo. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce now our Provost Jeff Hecker from the University of Maine. I've known Provost Hecker for almost a quarter century at the University of Maine, and he's risen to be the leader at the University of Maine who brings the university together and encourages people to innovate and work together across campus and beyond. So it's a great pleasure for us to have today our Provost, Jeff Hecker.
Thank you, Habib. Well, the formalizing of this collaboration between the University of Maine and Oak Ridge National Laboratory is really a fabulous event for the university in its life and its cycle and development as a research university. It's also a fabulous day for the state of Maine, and you've heard about the way the potential this has to reinvigorate our economy. I'd suggest it might be considered a fabulous opportunity, a fabulous event for the United States as we think about moving manufacturing and getting to that point in 2025 of being the leader in advanced manufacturing. So I also want to then echo with my thanks to the senators, Senator Alexander, Senator Collins, and Senator King, to recognize the potential of bringing these two remarkable and unique laboratories together, and then to your tireless efforts to really make it happen. So we're forever grateful for you at the university. I also want to thank our colleagues at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Mo and Craig and other members of their leadership team came to the university a little over a year ago. And it was one of those days that was full of demonstrations and events and meetings, and it culminated in a dinner at the President's house. And over the course of the day, you could just feel the excitement build and build as more and more people started to recognize the potential out of this collaboration. So at the point at time at the dinner, it was palpable in the room, the excitement about the future. So thank you all very much. I also, of course, want to thank Secretary Simmons and the Department of Energy for your, making these funds available in a competitive manner, but for us to be able to compete and to have the opportunity to move this forward. The University of Maine is the state of Maine's only public research university, and in that role, we play a lot of roles for the state of Maine. Probably the most important of which is being at the heart of research and development to drive the state's economy. And the Advanced Structures and Composites Center is sort of the jewel in our crown around our research facilities. Founded in 1996 by Dr. Dagar and a few colleagues, the growth trajectory of the Advanced Structures and Composites Center is nothing short of astounding. There now has a staff of over 200. There's 100,000 square feet of laboratory space. The center has had accolades and recognitions from a variety of organizations nationally, internationally, for its innovation and for the impact of its work, including being recognized as by the White House as a champion for innovation, or champion for change. And it was. But among all these accolades, as the university's chief academic officer, when I talk about the Advanced Structures and Composites Center, the thing I like to brag about most is that the students at the University of Maine are at the heart of the work in every aspect of it. Every year, there are 150 or so students who are working in the center. And for most of those students, that experience, that job working at the Advanced Structures and Composites Center is the defining experience in their college education. They can think just completely differently about their own potential and about the potential that can be reached when people work together. And so I want to echo or say again my thanks to all of you for all the students in the years ahead and all the opportunities that are going to be created through this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Hecker. Again, I just want to thank the senators one more time and the Secretary of Energy, Assistant Secretary of Energy, and the Oak Ridge National Lab. We've really put together what we believe is the NBA all-star team for advanced manufacturing using bio-based materials. We're going to take a quick minute here to take a ceremonial picture for all the speakers here. So if you don't mind, please we'll come up to the stage and we'll do that. I'm going to do something illegal, which I'm going to move the podium down so we can take a picture.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. We'll get a few. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you again for joining us. So the senators, it's going to be easy for them to take these to their offices. Secretary Simmons is going to have a bit more of a difficult time, but we're planning how to do that for you, Secretary Simmons. And right now we have, I know some of the senators would have to leave at this stage of the game, but we're willing to take questions from media and others. So if you have any questions, we're happy to try to answer them.
Can you print one of these that looks like Tennessee on the top?
We will do that.
Okay, I promise.
Promised. Okay.
That's really fabulous. Everybody should come up and see them. They're amazing.
Yeah, please come up and see that. And also we have, as you heard from Oak Ridge National Lab, we create the first hub and spoke model in the country. So this is the hub and spoke of the state of Maine and the state of Tennessee connected together to make this happen. So with this in mind, we'd love to give you these. Yeah.